Hello, basketball fans. King Ikibu coming to you live from the underground bunker. Today we are going to play some of your Chicago Stags basketball. Yes, we're going to have a stag party tonight with the Chicago Stags. We are playing the first year of the NBA. In 1949, the Basketball Association of America and the National Basketball League merged and formed to become the NBA, the same league or association that we know of today. And one of the teams that was part of that merger were the Chicago Stags. And they are going to play the New York Knicks in their first ever game. This is the first ever game for the New York Knicks. So now you can, if you're ever on Jeopardy and they ever say, who was the New York Knicks' first opponent in the NBA? You can say the Chicago Stags because you watch this channel. This is not totally useless to watch my channel, I guess. So we're going to play some New York Knicks and Chicago Stags. It's from November 1st, 1949, and the game was held in Chicago. Does it say where in Chicago? Where they play at Chicago Stadium? Yep, Chicago Stadium. So I don't know how many people were there, but Chicago Stadium was massive. So I can't imagine the place was sold out by any stretch of the imagination, because if you look at the NBA, the first year of the NBA, let's see if we can find the Chicago Stags attendance records, because you want to know. That's why you tuned in today. What was the Chicago Stags attendance records for their first year in the league? And of course, we don't even have that information. Don't even have it. Let's see, is it anywhere else? I don't know, maybe it's on the Stags franchise index. Not even there. No attendance. We don't even know. All I know, and the only thing I saw, was that the Boston Celtics were in last place in the first year of the NBA. They were first in attendance with 110,000. So if you lead the league in attendance with 110,552, and I think they played a 68 game schedule, so that's 34 games at home, you average 3,251 people and a half person, whoever that half a person is. Probably Bill Simmons. He was probably there that day. Anyway, 3,251 people. So I imagine Chicago Stadium, which it probably sat around 21,000, 20,000 or so. I'm sure it wasn't full that day for this game that we're going to play today, but we will play it anyway. What they say is, no matter how many people show up, you still play. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to play this game here today, and it's a very simple game. But that's why, I'm a simple guy. I like something fast. I've talked about this before. I like games that are fast and simple and hopefully fun. We're going to play what is called ultra quick basketball. So, as the name implies, it is fast. You can't get any faster than ultra quick. Maybe mega quick or supersonic quick, I guess, would be faster, but I will stick, that's, my hair would blow back then, so I don't want that. So instead, we'll just stick with ultra quick basketball, and that's what we're going to play today. So we are going to look, first of all, at the New York Knicks and their ratings for this season. You can see that the game at Chicago was won by the Knicks by a score of 89-87. So another trivia question, the New York Knicks won their first game that they ever played at Chicago Stadium versus the Stags by a score of 89-87. So we here have the Knicks have a rating of C, an offensive rating of C, and a defensive rating of 0. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to type in New York. I have the caps lock on, so I might as well just leave it. New York and Chicago. And anytime New York and Chicago get together, it's always a big game. And we said the offense for New York was C, and their defense was 0. Now, I'm just going to put these all as the... I just kind of created this spreadsheet here. Put all the games in. Here's the scoreboard results. You don't even have to worry about who scored what points. Because are you really interested in who was the leading scorer for the Chicago Stags in their first game in the NBA or the New York Knicks? Can you name one player who was on the New York Knicks? I can't. So why would we want to know who was the leading scorer? Well, just for the sake, we'll see who was on that team. And who was the leading scorer? So Karl Braun was the leading scorer of the New York Knicks in their first season in the NBA. Harry Gallatin, Connie Simmons, Vince Borjala. I can say this one though. Ernie Vandeweghe. I wonder if it's Kiki's dad. I wonder if it would say, is this Kiki's dad? He was born in Montreal, so chances are it wasn't. He wasn't Kiki's dad. His brother-in-law is Mel Hutchins. Oh, his son is Kiki. I didn't know Kiki has Canadian. I've always loved Kiki, and now a greater reason to love. He has probably half Canadian. Well, you learn something every day. It's wonderful to learn stuff. That's why, I'm a curious cat, as I've said before. Dick McGuire, I think I've heard of him. Tex Ritter. Butch Van de Brendakoff. That's a family NBA history. Their son, Jan Van Brendakoff. He played in the 70s. So yeah, we're learning lots of stuff. So here are the New York Knicks roster, including Kiki Vandeweghe's dad and Jan Van Brendakoff's dad and Tex Ritter and Connie Simmons and but the leading scorer was Karl Braun. I wonder if he's related to Eva Braun. Okay, so let's see at the Chicago Stags. Who was on their team? On that first home game of the Chicago Stags. Let's see, we'll sort it by points. Their leading scorer was, Max Zaslavsky. Very good Chicago name. Max Zaslavsky. Andy Phillip. And Odie Spears. That's Britney Spears' dad. Let's see if that's true. Related to Britney Spears? No. Odie. Odie isn't that Garfield's friend, the dog? Odie? I don't know. I wonder if they're related. Anyway, so my point is, after all this rant, is you probably don't care who was the leading scorer of the Chicago Stags. So we don't even, that makes this game ultra fast, is that you don't even find out who the leading scorer is. You just get scores. So the New York, we already saw, their offensive rating is C. Their defensive rating is 0. And for Chicago, you can see they had a decent record, 40-28. What was the Knicks record? Knicks record was 40-28. So this is a very competitive game. Very competitive. Could be a tight ball game here today. That's what we want. Because I've been playing a couple of games with the Denver Nuggets. And this was a team, they were in the first year of the NBA, and that was it. They folded after the season. And I imagine that when Denver got back into the ABA in the late 60s, early 70s, they probably named themselves after this team. That was in the NBA, but there's no relation. There's no correlation. But they were a dreadful team. They were 11-51, and you can see here they lost their first 2 games by almost the same score, 106-77 and 106-78 to the Tri-Cities Blackhawks and the Indianapolis Olympians. Those are 2 founding members of the NBA. All right, so we're going back to this. This one will be close. So the rating here for Chicago is also a C. So they have very similar offenses. And the defensive rating, however, for the Chicago Stags is -2. And then we also put in here their home court advantage. I like to put this in the description here, so 2/1. So that's all you need to know to play this game. So from here, what do you do? Well, let's get to the adjusted rating. So New York starts as a C, and you have to take into account the Chicago Stags defense, and it goes from C to A. So C, for those who are learning their ABCs, it goes backwards C, B, A. So New York has a adjusted rating of A, which is the worst. And the Chicago Stags, what is their adjustment? Well, you look here, they have C. They look at the New York defense, which is 0, so it remains C. Isn't that the way it is? It stays in the same spot. So that's all we need. We're ready to play the first quarter. So we have our handy dandy dice, and we have our handy dandy scoring chart. So we look first of all at the A column. We roll 2 dice, and we consult what it says. Here's the roll for the New York Knicks. And they have a high dice, 65. So that means they scored 24 points in the first quarter. Pretty good. Pretty good for an A-rated defense. So 24 points in the first quarter. Let's see what the Chicago Stags. They go by the C chart. C column on the chart. So let's see what they roll. See if they can do better. They have a 16. 16 is 18 points for the Chicago Stags. So in spite of their having a better rating, they are down 6 points in the first quarter. Now, you just kind of follow along as you go here. That's one of the beauties of this game. So you go now to the next column. You have HM question mark. That is home question mark. Now, there's various ratings. Now this, let you know, Chicago's home court, Chicago Stadium. Chicago Stadium is rocking with that, Oregon, and was one of the most toughest places to play for any team coming in, and that's reflected here in this game because they have one of the best possible home court ratings, 2/1. What this means is right here, the left of the slash applies to the home team, and the left of the slash is the home team, and the right of the slash is the visiting team. So in this case, 2 means that right here we raise Chicago's adjusted rating from C by 1. Okay, 2 means you're going to raise it twice because typically you always raise it before the fourth quarter. But when you have a 2, you raise it twice. So right now we raise it again to the D, and because the slash is not, after the slash is not 2, we don't even touch New York's. So it stays A. So right now for the second quarter, the offensive ratings now are DA. So we're going to roll the New York Knicks second quarter number. It's in the A column. And here is the roll for the New York Knicks. They're up by 6 points, 23. 23 means in the second quarter they scored 19 points. So now you can see I just this is not something I found. I just kind of created this thing and it keeps score. So right now the score is 43-18, but Chicago has not had their roll yet for the second quarter. So we go back to our scoring chart and we get their dice and we go by the D column this time. So hopefully the Stags can have a better roll this time around. 55. 55 on the D is 23. So that one going up from C to D resulted in them getting one more point than they would have had if they weren't on home court. So 23. So now the score is 2-point game. 43-41 at halftime. At the half, 43-41, New York Knicks over the Stags. Now we go to the third quarter, and we get out our chart again. And the charts don't change in the third quarter, so it's still off the A chart for the Knicks. And here's the roll. 61. 61 is a pretty good score for the A. You look on here, there's BG. Now, hopefully we'll get a BG because that really shakes things up. Also a yellow. If you land on a yellow one, what that means is you get to roll another dice, one 6-sided die, and you add that score to that. So if you roll a 6, you get 20 points for that quarter. So that's what the yellow means. And BG, there's a BG chart which reflects what the BG means. It's called the big game chart, and it can go crazy. You could roll a Z. If you get a 26, you get a Z, which is by far the most offensively powerful chart if you have a Z rating, and or it could go up +3, up 5, it could go down even. So you don't know which way. It's very volatile. And if you hit BG twice, then you get this huge roll, like 44 points in a quarter, which is pretty. That's kind of like the Golden State Warriors' typical quarter. No, not quite, but that's a big quarter. 44 points. So what do we say after all that yapping? We go back to the not the big chart, but we go to the. They rolled a. Oh, that's the thing. It's kind of like pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time. People have difficulty. I have difficulty with that. Doing two things at once. I get distracted. But 61 was 23. So that's a pretty good score. The Knicks are holding their own here in this game in Chicago Stadium. They get 23 points in the third quarter. So now let's see what the Stags will roll. They're still at the D. So we'll get our dice and the chant is going, go Stags, go! Go Stags, go! Go Stags, go! So let's see what the roll is. It is a 44. D44. That's bingo. Is it? 44 is 22 points. So they don't gain any ground on the Knicks. They were down by 2 and now they're down by 3 going into the fourth quarter. So now, here's where things really get interesting. Well, so we talked about now we have the home court advantage comes into play again. Because the Stags have a 2, they raised it once after the first quarter. Now they raise it again here. So they're now an E rating. And the 1 means this is where the visiting team. Now you'd go down 1 for the visiting team. However, the Knicks are at the lowest possible rating, which is A, which is why they're surprising they're up. So that you can't go there's no negative A or anything like that. So they're still A. You can't go down any lower. So now it's time for the fourth quarter. We roll the team that's behind first. No. Well, the visiting team goes first. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't say in the rules. So we just go the A chart first. Let's see what the Knicks roll here. 66. So we do get a BG. Just like we hoped. So it's a volatile quarter. Let's see. We roll again and let's see what crazy things are going to happen here. What is the modifier? You can't go any lower. So I'd say the Knicks would say that we welcome the BG. Because even if it says the worst thing you can get is 11 and it's A. They're already on A. -4, you can't go any lower. But they could go to a Z. They could go up +4, +5. Depending on this roll. Or they could get double BG. No, there's no... What is this? There's no double BG. I don't know how... I have to read the rules again. How do you get double BG? Anyway. Let's see what they get. They get 13. 13 is -5. So, like they said, if the Knicks were hoping for a 14, they would go all the way to the other end. But you can see here they can't go any lower. So it's still... Oh, here's why. Okay, that's how the double BG works. So you get to roll again on this, and if you roll BG again, then you go to that column, second column. All right. So I'm just learning too. So in other words, if the Knicks roll now an 11 or 66, they get to go to this chart where they would score up to 50 points in the quarter. So that's what the Knicks are hoping for here, and let's see what they can do. 43. So 43 is an 18 points. Not very good. It's better than 12, though. You can get a 12-point quarter in that. So 18. So now it's time for Chicago. They're up at level E now. So back to the chart. They go off the E because of the home court advantage. And now you can see what they need is at least 21 points to tie. And there's a lot of 21s are better on here, but there's some that are not. So let's see what the Stags can do. People are on the edge of their seats. 25 on the E chart. 25 is 25 points. 25 points for the Stags. I think that's enough. Let's see. 88-84 is your final. The Chicago Stags defeat the New York Knicks. In real life, they lost 89-87. But in our replay, the Stags win by a score of 88-84. They have a big fourth quarter, while New York choked in the fourth quarter after being ahead the entire game. And that is the way it ends. And that is it. You could play a game. I'm a guy who likes centering. Sorry. If you don't like centering, I'm sorry, but I do. There we go. So that's one win for the Stags, and that's a loss for the Knicks. And I just kind of copy this now, and I copy to there, and I go to the Knicks page, go to there first, and I just, well, I guess that's not the one I want. This one, I guess. And then they get a away loss. Sorry, I think I put the other one in the wrong column. So I'll have to fix that, and I'll have to change the centering. I'm not a neat freak, because you should see my apartment, or the bunker. You should see the bunker, but so I'm not a clean freak, but yet I'm anal some ways. Copy, paste. So put these in the right column because they had a home win. That way we keep home and away. So you can see the record for the Stags is 1-0 on the season, and for the Knicks, they are 0-1. So that is it. You can play. You can go through an entire team if you don't have to record and want to explain, and you can just zip through it. You can probably play like a dozen games in an hour with this thing. So if you want to get through games fast, this is your game. Ultra quick basketball. This is King Ikibu signing off. Well, have a good afternoon, everybody. Bye-bye.